On the Earth's third pole, the vast, serene, yet powerful Tibetan Plateau, a dragon-like river with the force of thunder cleaves through the world's youngest and most majestic mountain range. The Tibetan people revere it as Yarlung Tsangpo. Originating from the Gemma Yangzang Glacier on the northern slopes of the Himalayas, this river is the world's highest celestial river. It flows eastward, and at the foot of Mount Namcha Barwa, it executes a breathtaking horseshoe-shaped Great Bend, forming the deepest and longest canyon on Earth, the Yarlung Tsangpo Grand Canyon. Afterward, it bursts out of the plateau, rushing towards the South Asian plains, where it will adopt another name, the Brahmaputra River, continuing to nourish billions of lives. For thousands of years, this mighty river has been a symbol of divinity, a force of nature, and an untamable wild power. However, in the 21st century, another equally great power, stemming from humanity, is attempting to dance with it, and even harness its ceaseless pulse. China, a nation renowned for its monumental infrastructure, has set its sights on the most potent heartland of the Yarlung Tsangpo River. A super hydropower project, with a total investment of up to $170 billion, is like a massive stone cast into a calm lake. The ripples it creates echo not only through the perilous canyons, but also through invisible waves, instantly transmit thousands of miles to New Delhi, triggering a fierce geopolitical earthquake. India, as the most crucial downstream country of this mighty river, feels not only the shock brought by its neighbor's grand blueprint, but also a strategic anxiety deeply rooted in history and present realities. The swift follow-up and questioning from Western media, such as France, have cast a more complex shadow of great power rivalry over this water resource dispute. This is no longer just a story about a hydropower station. It is a grand narrative concerning energy revolution, economic development, ecological balance, national sovereignty, and even the future POWER Chinese letter of Asia. When human engineering marvels meet Earth's natural wonders head-on, when the ambition of a rising power fiercely collides with a neighbor's existential concerns, we can't help but ask, why would China pour its national strength into taming this celestial river? What kind of profound strategic game, concerning the nation's destiny, is hidden behind this? And is India's hysterical opposition solely due to fears about downstream water flow? Let's peel back the layers of fog and uncover the truth behind this great river. The scale of an unprecedented project. According to disclosed plans, this project is not a single dam, but a massive cluster composed of 5 cascaded hydropower stations, with its core located at the Great Bend of the Yarlung Tsangpo River in its lower reaches. Its planned total installed capacity is expected to reach an astonishing 60 to 70 million kilowatts. What does this concept signify? Let's anchor its scale with data. Compared to the Three Gorges project, China's Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River, the world's largest single hydropower station to date, has a total installed capacity of 22.5 million kilowatts. The planned capacity of the Yarlung Tsangpo project is nearly equivalent to the sum of Three Gorges dams. Compared to national power, an installed capacity of 70 million kilowatts surpasses the total national installed capacity of many developed countries, such as Italy, approximately 60 million kilowatts, or the United Kingdom, approximately 76 million kilowatts. Once completed, it alone could rival the power system of a medium-sized power. Annual power generation. The project is expected to generate nearly 300 billion kilowatt-hours annually. This figure exceeds the total annual electricity consumption of all of Australia or Poland in 2023. This 300 billion kilowatt-hours of clean electricity would be enough to power nearly 1/3 of Guangdong Province, China's most economically developed region. The engineering solution to achieve this ambitious goal is itself an epic poem shining with human wisdom and courage. Engineers face an environment with an altitude drop of nearly 3,000 meters and frequent geological activity, a veritable geological museum. Traditional damming and water storage methods are not only technically challenging to the extreme here, but also pose significant ecological impacts. Therefore, Chinese engineers proposed an ingenious solution, straightening the bend, diverting water through tunnels. Imagine the Yarlung Tsangpo River here forming a massive U-bend, with the river channel extending over 200 kilometers. The straight-line distance between the two ends of this U-bend is only a few tens of kilometers. The core of the project involves excavating several super-diversion tunnels, with diameters comparable to subway tunnels, through the bottleneck mountain within the U-bend. The upstream river water will be directly diverted into these tunnels, passing through the mountain and reaching the extremely low terrain downstream, utilizing a natural drop of over 2,000 meters to powerfully impact the hydraulic turbines hidden deep within the mountain, releasing endless electrical energy. This is akin to creating a shortcut for the surging river, a superhighway capable of unleashing immense energy. This development method minimizes damage to surface vegetation and the original riverbed, concealing the main body of the project within the mountain's belly. It is truly an invisible dam, representing a technological revolution in hydropower engineering. However, it is precisely this unprecedented scale and ingenuity that have become the source of agitation for downstream neighbors. China's three strategic cards. Facing such enormous investment, formidable technical challenges, and foreseeable diplomatic pressure, why is China pressing ahead without hesitation? The answer lies in the fact that, for China, this project simultaneously plays three crucial strategic cards. 1. The anchor for energy transition. As the world's factory, China's energy structure has long been locked by coal, which is the biggest constraint to achieving its carbon peaking commitment by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060. In recent years, China has made remarkable achievements in wind and solar power, but both have inherent flaws of intermittency and instability, urgently requiring stable, clean ballast power sources. The Yarlung Tsangpo Hydropower project is this ideal ballast. The annual 300 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity generated will be entirely zero-emission clean energy. What does this mean? It's equivalent to replacing the burning of 90 million tons of standard coal annually, thereby reducing approximately 250 million to 300 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions. This is almost equivalent to the total annual carbon emissions of a country like Spain. On China's grand chessboard of energy transition, it will provide a continuous supply of green power to the economic centers of China's eastern coast, significantly optimizing the national energy structure and gaining China greater initiative and voice in global climate governance. 2. The engine for Western development. Tibet, as China's strategic barrier, has long lagged in economic development. The Yarlung Tsangpo Hydropower project will serve as a powerful lever to stimulate leapfrog development across Tibet and even Western China. Fiscal revenue and employment. The 1.2 trillion RMB investment itself is a shot in the arm. During the construction period, it will directly create tens of thousands of high-quality jobs and drive the development of a series of related industrial chains, including cement, steel, logistics, and machinery manufacturing. After completion, preliminary estimates suggest it can bring over 20 billion RMB in annual fiscal revenue to Tibet. It's worth noting that Tibet's total fiscal revenue for 2024 was only around 30 billion RMB. This means that this single project could potentially double Tibet's financial capacity. Industrial cluster. Ultra-low electricity prices, expected to be as low as 0.1 RMB kilowatt-hour, will create a huge Chinese letter depression effect, attracting investment. For high-energy consuming emerging industries and advanced manufacturing, such as data centers, cloud computing, green hydrogen production, and non-ferrous metal refining, this will become an irresistible investment hotbed. A modern industrial cluster centered on clean energy is expected to rise on the roof of the world, completely transforming Tibet's economic landscape. 3. Deepening border control. National borders on maps are clear, but actual control and effective governance in border regions depend on continuous infrastructure development, economic activity, and population presence. The lower reaches of the Yarlung Tsangpo River are adjacent to the disputed Sino-Indian border areas. In the past, due to treacherous terrain and inconvenient transportation, China's governance reach was relatively weak. A construction period of 10-15 years means that tens of thousands of engineers, technicians, and managers will be stationed there for the long term. This will lead to the comprehensive rollout of a series of world-class infrastructure, including roads, bridges, airports, communication base stations, and power grids. This once desolate area will be deeply integrated into the nation's modernization network. When a super project with trillion-level investment and a century-long operational lifespan is firmly embedded in this land like a giant railroad spike, it brings not only electricity and wealth, but also an undeniable and deeply ingrained existential sovereignty. This is a strategic declaration more powerful than any statement, significantly enhancing China's actual control and strategic depth in the region. India's deep-seated anxiety. To understand India's strong reaction, we must shift our perspective, stand on the banks of the Brahmaputra River, and feel their fear. After the Yarlung Tsangpo River flows into India, it becomes the lifeline that nourishes its northeastern states, such as Assam. Over 30 million people here rely on this river for agricultural irrigation, domestic water, inland navigation, and even their culture and religious beliefs. In the eyes of Indians, any action taken by China upstream could directly choke their lifeline. India's anxieties primarily revolve around two nightmarish scenarios. Tighten tap. During the dry season, India fears that China might use the dams to store water, artificially reducing downstream flow, leading to drought in India's northeastern regions, agricultural failures, and hardship for the populace. This fear of water resource weaponization is the most prevalent voice in Indian public discourse. Overhanging flood bomb. During the monsoon season, India conversely fears that China, to clear reservoir capacity or to exert pressure at specific times, might suddenly release a large volume of water, causing instant, devastating floods downstream and irreparable disaster. At a deeper level, there is a lack of trust stemming from information asymmetry. India has long complained that China's sharing of upstream hydrological data is not timely or transparent enough, rendering their downstream flood warning system largely useless and exacerbating public insecurity and suspicion towards China. However, to what extent are these fears real? The scientific fact is that the Yarlung Tsangpo River's contribution to the Brahmaputra's total annual flow within India is approximately 25–30%. The vast majority of the remaining water comes from heavy rainfall brought by the South Asian monsoon and the confluence of major tributaries after it enters India. This means that even if China were to theoretically cut off the Yarlung Tsangpo entirely, which is impossible both engineering-wise and practically, it could not starve the downstream, especially during the monsoon season. Furthermore, the tunnel diversion development adopted by China primarily utilizes the natural drop for power generation, rather than large-scale water storage. After passing through the turbines within the mountain, most of the water will return to the downstream river channel. This mode of development has a minimal impact on the river's total runoff. Instead, a well-managed reservoir system can scientifically regulate floods during the rainy season, to some extent helping downstream areas mitigate flood pressure by reducing peak flows. But geopolitical maneuvering is often not about science. It's about perception and trust. Against the backdrop of China's comprehensive national strength surpassing India's, India views any action that might increase its reliance on China or weaken its strategic autonomy with extreme vigilance. The Yarlung Tsangpo Brahmaputra River has unfortunately become the most concentrated flashpoint for this structural contradiction. The geopolitical undercurrents. Western countries, led by the United States, have been relentlessly promoting the Indo-Pacific strategy in recent years. One of its core objectives is to support and draw India closer, making it a key player in containing China on both land and sea. In this context, the Yarlung Tsangpo issue has become an excellent wedge that can be used to drive a wedge between China and India and amplify their contradictions. Western media frequently cite India's concerns, exaggerating Chinese water hegemony and ecological destruction theories. This caters to the widespread anxiety in Western societies about China's rise, while also providing India with public opinion ammunition to gain sympathy internationally and exert pressure on China. Interestingly, India itself is also heavily engaged in water conservancy projects. To break free from dependence on upstream China, India has long planned and launched a massive interlinking of rivers project, attempting to divert water from surplus rivers, including the Brahmaputra, to water-scarce southern and western regions through a canal system. This equally grand project, which also has the potential to alter the basin's ecology, rarely receives the same level of concern from Western public opinion. At the same time, we cannot overlook another important player in the basin, Bangladesh. As the ultimate downstream country, Bangladesh is even more reliant on the Brahmaputra River, with most of its land being the delta formed by this great river. However, caught between the two giants, China and India, Bangladesh's voice is faint, and its concerns are often drowned out by higher decibel geopolitical noise. Its future will inevitably be shaped by this rivalry between China and India on the roof of the world. The path forward. Today, regardless of external clamor, the advancement of the Yarlung Tsangpo super hydropower project is inevitable, a reality that cannot be reversed. It represents China's firm will to achieve national modernization and rejuvenation. However, a great river can be a bond that connects civilizations or a chasm that divides them. For Beijing, how to communicate with downstream countries in a more open and transparent manner, share hydrological data, establish effective dispute resolution mechanisms, and dispel neighbors' doubts with facts, will be crucial in testing its wisdom and responsibility as a rising great power. For New Delhi, instead of dwelling in anxiety and confrontation over an unchangeable reality, it would be better to consider how to transform challenges into opportunities. For example, exploring the establishment of a joint basin management mechanism among China, India, and Bangladesh, and engaging in electricity trade cooperation, transforming China's clean energy into a driving force for its own development.